At dawn, the world was jolted awake. The sun rose over silent streets, but the usual hum of commerce was replaced by a sense of unease. Across continents, millions tuned in to urgent news flashes, their morning routines interrupted by a story that would reshape the global order. In a move that stunned governments and markets alike, China abruptly halted all exports of critical materials to the U.S. defense industry. Shipments were stopped mid-transit, containers stacked motionless at ports, and customs officers enforced the new directive with unwavering resolve. This isn't just another trade spat or diplomatic disagreement, it's a total severing of a supply line that underpins American military power. Factories that once buzzed with activity now stand silent, their assembly lines frozen, and shelves that once held vital components now sit empty. The announcement, delivered with chilling bluntness by China's Ministry of Commerce, signaled the end of even the most strained cooperation between the world's two largest economies. The message was clear: economic ties could be wielded as weapons. What was once a distant scenario debated in think tanks and war games has now become a stark reality. Experts who once theorized about such a crisis now find themselves living it, scrambling to advise policymakers on next steps. This move exposes a vulnerability at the very core of America's defense infrastructure, a dependency that was long acknowledged but never truly addressed. The military's technological edge, built on global supply chains, now faces an unprecedented test. For decades, China has been the world's factory, producing everything from microchips to rare earth elements. Now, it has weaponized that role, turning commerce into a tool of power and leverage on the world stage. Inside the Pentagon, the White House, and boardrooms across America, leaders are scrambling to assess the damage. How long can the military function without these irreplaceable components? How quickly can the nation adapt to this new reality? Across the country, scientists and engineers are racing against time, searching for alternative materials, testing new prototypes, and ramping up domestic production. The pressure is immense, and the stakes have never been higher. The United States must now confront a dependency it ignored for too long. The illusion of security has been shattered, replaced by a sobering awareness of just how interconnected and vulnerable the nation has become. The dragon has roared, sending shockwaves across the globe. As world leaders gather to respond, one thing is certain: the consequences of this day will echo for years to come, forcing nations to rethink alliances, strategies, and the true cost of global interdependence. Beneath the high-tech image of the U.S. military with its cutting-edge weaponry and advanced systems lies a surprising truth that few Americans realize. There is a hidden, yet critical reliance on China for the very materials and components that power America's defense. China has become the world's dominant force in processing rare earth elements, those obscure but essential minerals that are the backbone of modern military technology. These rare earths are crucial for manufacturing jet engines, missile guidance systems, advanced radar, and nearly every sophisticated electronic device used by the armed forces. But the dependency doesn't stop there. The U.S. also relies on China for high-grade circuit boards that control everything from drones to communication satellites, specialized metal alloys that make vehicles lighter and stronger, and even basic pharmaceuticals that keep soldiers healthy on and off the battlefield. Over decades, American defense firms, under pressure to cut costs and boost efficiency, shifted their supply chains overseas. Sourcing from China became the norm, gradually eroding domestic manufacturing capabilities and making the U.S. increasingly dependent on foreign suppliers. Today, this web of dependencies stretches from lithium batteries that power surveillance drones and communication gear, to the textiles and fabrics used in protective uniforms and gear for American troops. Now, with global tensions rising and supply chains disrupted, the risk is clear. If these supplies are cut off, America's entire defense machine could grind to a halt, leaving critical gaps in readiness. The Pentagon is urgently racing to audit and understand the true depth of this reliance, mapping out every link in the supply chain to identify vulnerabilities. What was once considered a minor background detail has now exploded into a full-blown national emergency, demanding immediate attention from the highest levels of government. The supply chain isn't just important, it's the very fabric that holds together America's defense capabilities, connecting factories, workers, and technology across continents. The relentless pursuit of efficiency and cost savings has come at a steep price. Now, that price is a strategic crisis threatening the security of the nation. The shockwaves aren't just felt in Washington. They're hitting American factories and workers first. Defense giants and their suppliers face halted assembly lines as Chinese components vanish. Small businesses lacking deep reserves are especially vulnerable. Layoffs are already starting. Skilled workers from welders to engineers now face uncertainty and lost income. The ripple effect spreads. Local economies suffer as factories slow, diners empty, and property values drop. The economic ecosystem around defense manufacturing is fragile, and the disruption is deeply personal. China's move is not just a national security crisis, it's an economic and social one for working Americans. The stone has been thrown, the ripples are everywhere. Military readiness is a complex equation relying on far more than just the latest technology or the most advanced weapon systems. It's about ensuring that every piece of equipment, from fighter jets to armored vehicles, is not only present but fully operational and ready to deploy at a moment's notice. The true strength of a military force lies in its ability to maintain and sustain its assets under any circumstance. This means constant, meticulous maintenance, crews working around the clock to keep engines running, electronics calibrated, and every bolt tightened. Without this ongoing effort, even the most sophisticated machines become little more than expensive paperweights. China's recent export ban on critical components strikes directly at the heart of this delicate system. It's not just an economic move, it's a strategic blow that threatens to disrupt the very foundation of military preparedness. Without access to essential parts, fighter jets are forced to remain grounded, unable to take to the skies. Navy ships sit idle at their docks, vulnerable and unable to project power or defend vital interests. Maintenance operations grind to a halt, workshops fall silent, and the once busy hangars become eerily quiet. The ripple effect is immediate and severe. The Pentagon now faces a stark reality. Inventories of spare parts and supplies are dwindling fast. Leaders are forced into difficult decisions. Should they cannibalize parts from one vehicle to keep another running, ground entire squadrons, or risk leaving critical defense gaps? Decommissioned vehicles and grounded aircraft become a common sight, stark reminders of the vulnerability created by supply chain disruptions. The crisis reveals just how fragile and interconnected modern military systems are. A single missing microchip or circuit board can sideline a billion-dollar asset, rendering it useless until the right part arrives. The absence of even the smallest component can have outsized consequences, halting operations and undermining confidence in the entire system. America's military might is ultimately only as strong as the supply chains that support it. Logistics, the unseen backbone, determines whether forces can fight, move, and win. If this disruption continues, the pressure will mount. Commanders will face mounting anxiety as they try to plan for contingencies with shrinking resources and uncertain timelines. On the front lines, soldiers may find themselves waiting for repairs that never come, or convoys stalled for lack of a single part. The ability to sustain a prolonged conflict could be severely compromised. Modern warfare consumes equipment and ammunition at a staggering rate. Without a steady flow of replacements, even the most advanced forces will see their superiority erode, their edge dulled by attrition. The real danger is that a foreign power, by controlling the flow of critical materials, could dictate the tempo and outcome of a conflict from afar. The shield that once protected is now dented, and the need for urgent repair is undeniable. In this new reality, military readiness means more than just having the right tools. It means rebuilding resilience, investing in secure supply chains, and ensuring that the nation's defenses can withstand any challenge, no matter where it comes from. China's decision is a calculated act of grand strategy, not a rash move. It's a show of leverage. Beijing wants to prove it can inflict real pain on U.S. security. By disrupting supply chains, China hopes to slow American military progress and buy time to close its own technological gap. This is asymmetric warfare, targeting the industrial base, not the battlefield. Domestically, it's a message of strength and independence, rallying national pride. Internationally, it paints the U.S. as vulnerable and dependent, a reversal of roles. But it's a risky bet. China's own economy and reputation as a trading partner are on the line. Multinationals may accelerate their exit, wary of political risk. China is wagering that its manufacturing dominance outweighs the pain of decoupling. It's a bold, transformative gamble on the future world order. The U.S. must act. Rebuilding domestic industry is now a national imperative. This means more than finding new suppliers. It's about restoring lost manufacturing capabilities. Public-private partnerships, incentives, and government action, like the Defense Production Act, will be essential. The focus: rare earth processing, advanced semiconductors, and high-tech manufacturing. It's a chance to create new, skilled jobs and invest in automation, AI, and next-gen production. Workforce training is critical. Engineers and technicians must power these new factories. The goal: not just to replace what was lost, but to build a more resilient, advanced ecosystem. Redundancy and diversity in suppliers will buffer against future shocks. The cost is high, but the price of vulnerability is higher. This is an investment in America's security and sovereignty. America can't go it alone. Trusted allies are key to building secure new supply chains. Nations like Australia, Japan, South Korea, and European partners have resources and technology to help fill the gap. Joint ventures, new trade agreements, and shared investment can create a distributed, resilient network. This isn't just about swapping suppliers, it's about building a system based on trust and shared values. Friendshoring prioritizes security over cost, reducing the risk of political coercion. Diplomatic effort is vital. The US must lead, but also listen and collaborate. Together, allies can form a powerful economic bloc to counter authoritarian leverage. The challenge: forging a stable, predictable trading system not at the mercy of a single power. The US faces a daunting path. Damage control comes first. Rapid audits and alternative sourcing are underway to keep defense production alive. Behind the scenes, diplomacy continues, publicly firm, privately open to negotiation if China wavers. Medium term, the focus shifts to proactive rebuilding reshoring industries, forging new alliances, and securing bipartisan support. This is a generational project, unwinding decades of integration with a strategic rival. The era of assuming economic ties would ensure peace is over. Economic tools are now weapons, resilience and self-reliance are the new priorities. The crisis is a moment of clarity, a chance to correct course. America must seize it to build a more secure future. China's move is a historic turning point, ending the era of faith in global trade as a path to peace. Economic interdependence has become a weapon, and America's vulnerability is now exposed. Factories, military readiness, and national security are all at stake. Yet within this crisis lies opportunity to rebuild, innovate, and strengthen alliances based on shared values. The path forward is hard, but the alternative, dependence on a rival, is unacceptable. This is a test of American resolve and ingenuity. How the nation responds will define its role for decades to come. The alarm has sounded. It's time to rise and meet the challenge.